Australia is banning social media for people under the age of 16, which is not a solution, it's just ignoring the major problem. The apps aren't built for us to have a healthy relationship with them. I just wanted to pause the video early on here because after filming and recording this video, I spoke to my community on TikTok, specifically parents, about the social media ban. And from those conversations, I have a little bit of a new perspective I wanted to add to the video. To start with, I'm not a parent, but I am a former teen who is currently now as a 27-year-old man worried about young people growing up in a social media age. And I really do empathize with parents who feel like they're having to actively fight every single day against these big social media tech giants to keep their kids safe online. Especially with AI on the rise, the waters seem to be more muddied now than ever. To add to the pool of fear, we have online predators and red pill content creators trying to radicalize the youth for their own profit. So I completely understand the fear of parents just wanting social media gone. But my solutions you'll hear today are in efforts to try and fix the apps instead of just banning them, because I don't think that prohibitions have ever worked. What I believe this ban is going to do is going to lead young people to even more dangerous and less regulated sites. Having been a young person before, as have you, we know how crafty we can be when we're told no. So this video is looking to hopefully fix the apps for the betterment of absolutely everybody and hold the evil tech companies accountable for their actions and the way their apps operate. As always, the comment section is open for healthy, kind, and curious discussion. But anyways, back to the video. So the government have set a deadline for the big social media tech companies to incorporate an age recognition system in the hopes of blocking out users under the age of 16. Instead of the old foolproof system they've been getting away with for years. This solution is lazy. It's the equivalent of yelling out, "Somebody should do something," and then proceeding to do absolutely nothing. And I say that because the government's ultimatum they've given to tech companies doesn't involve any actual tangible fixes or solutions. The onus is on the tech companies to do the right thing. The government have pretty much said if the tech companies don't do something by the deadline, they'll be faced with $1 million fines. But they haven't clearly defined what that something is. So today, I want to propose what I think that something should be, not just for people under the ages of 16, but for everybody. It is no secret that the social media apps are expertly designed to keep the users on the apps for as long as humanly possible. So I say the first port of call needs to be us having in-app customization. Every single feature should have an on-off toggle switch. For example, on Instagram, if you don't want to see likes, comments, shorts, recommended posts, you can turn them off. Now these changes would still allow for Instagram to jam ads down our throats, which would still fund Mark Zuckerberg's wakeboarding. The reason I think customization is a really important feature is the apps themselves aren't inherently bad, it's what's been done with them in the past years. I grew up on Instagram and Snapchat and YouTube, and they weren't inherently bad from the start. They've turned that way because they use psychological tools to keep us hooked. If we can customize these apps to make them look like what we'd want, we'd have a much better user experience. A feature that I'd like to have personally would be a tabs feature where I can sort my grid into different types of groups. For example, friends and family, celebrities, politics, entertainment. That way I don't just keep on endlessly scrolling trying to find what I'm looking for. I can just go to those things. This means I won't miss the important posts from family and friends, and if I don't want to see celebrity content that day, I don't have to view it. I believe that forcing the social media giants to give us customization will force them in turn to make a better product instead of just making the most addictive product. I just want to note that I believe that all these changes should be implemented for absolutely everybody, not just people from the ages of 0 to 16. Social media is poisonous for everyone. Anyway, customization isn't the only important thing here. I think limitation should be embedded in the apps as well. Let's take TikTok for an example. TikTok are masters of the endless scroll, and as much as I'd like to just get rid of the endless scroll feature, much as the person that invented the endless scroll feature wants to get rid of it,
I was blind to how it was going to get picked up and used not for people, but against people. And this was actually a huge lesson for me, that me sitting here optimizing an interface for one individual is sort of like, that was morally good. But being blind to how it was going to be used globally was sort of globally amoral at best, or maybe even a little immoral.
It's not going to go away anytime soon. So I think TikTok should have a mandatory 45-second stop down period between every 20 swipes where people just have to stop and stare at this screen that freezes up the entire app. And the only way To stop that from happening is to get out of the app and then reopen the app again, but the timer will keep on going until it is complete. This feature is annoying and it gives people an out point, which TikTok won't love, but this isn't to make the social media giants more money. This video is to make people have a better life. I also think TikTok should have the ability to hide the likes, hide the comments, so you can just engage with the content freely without having to immediately go to the comment section and see the cesspit that's there, or to judge a video or a comment's validity by their likes. But again, Mikey, why would the tech companies do this? They're not going to make any money from this. I will address this shortly, but first, the algorithms. Algorithms seem to be this complete mystery that no one seems to know how they work, but we're all happy to let them keep on feeding us. There needs to be some sort of transparency with these algorithms, and we need to have some sort of say in customization over the way that they feed us content. I like when you download an app and there's a manual training that goes on where you click on types of genres of content you would like to see in your feed. I believe this should be a consistent feature that we always have access to. We should always be able to go in and add interest or take away interest depending on how we're feeling, and the kicker is there's never going to be a robot that just randomly throws an interest into your pile. And this manual individualized machine training relies on technology that's already been invented. It's just been sidelined for profits. But I don't believe that AI should be a part of this process. I don't believe that AI should be on these apps at all. I think AI should just go away forever. That's my take. Speaking of hot takes, this is my final change, and it is identity verification. This is my controversial take that a lot of people don't agree with, and I completely understand why. But hear me out. I believe that every account made should be linked to a verified person or entity. That person can make as many accounts under as many names as they want to, but they all have to be linked to a person, a real person. Now, how we verify this is where lies the controversy of this point. The easiest way would be to take a selfie with your government-issued ID. There are many fears of linking government-issued ID due to data breaches, which I completely understand. But it's hard to maintain that argument when the social media companies who have all of our information are actively selling our data anyways. I understand the fear though, and I don't mean to downplay it, it's just not a fear of mine. What is a fear of mine though is people being able to roam around online anonymously saying whatever they want without any fear of repercussion. They can post false information, swing elections, post hate comments, and at its worst, they can post death threats, and they can do that seemingly anonymously and get away with it scot-free. With the identity verification that I'm proposing, people can still remain anonymous because they won't have their profiles publicly linked to their real names. They can have whatever name or avatar username they want. But if someone needs to report someone's bad behavior online to the authorities, there'll be more effective and actionable consequences because the people aren't completely untraceable. And I said I'd get to it before, but Mikey, they won't make as much money. Yes, they won't make as much money because the way they make their money is predatory on you. On me! It's like how chocolate companies wouldn't make as much money if they were forced to finally pay their workers livable wages and have safe working environments. Which probably leaves you thinking, what's the incentive then for the tech companies to be able to operate in the country that's enforcing these laws? Look, my closing thoughts on this are we need to create a better social media environment that is safer for everybody, and we need to hold these big tech companies accountable for that. It is not unreasonable to expect them to create a service that isn't predatory, but I do commend the Australian government on doing something about this. I hope it doesn't stop here. We need the power of the government to hold these social media tech giants accountable for their actions, to make social media better for everyone. Anyway, I hope this helps.